Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we begin, let me give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of events have happened. Now, we had Deku, the Winter Shogun, and the Warrior of Inspiration, Kirishima. Now, these two, they've become quite respected by Drutha, the king in charge of York. Meanwhile, Bakugo and Ochako, they're looked down a bit upon by this man. Bakugo chose greed instead of helping those in aid, proving yourself in battle and crushing an enemy who could be superior to you. Bakugo chose greed, and this meant a bit. The rewards he got from the dungeon were not good, especially now that Ochako is stuck in his body and has a dragonkin who won't leave her alone. And that might become his problem. Now, Ochako, however, was quite annoyed as well, since right now she's stuck with Bakugo until they can fix this mess. Now, Deku and Kirishima were both paid handsomely and given weapons from the man's personal treasury, presented by their mentors. And speaking of mentors, Izuku just met his masters, since Atrigue came walking into the room, and he berated his student for teaching his way too much, way too fast. The boy has access to over 5 different types of magics. One he is advancing in quite well. He saw the aftermath. And one, while it is not advanced, it is intermediate. He messed up a spell for chain magic. That's what he can understand, and instead of getting annoyed, he improvised. He created something else that works the same way Theodore wanted it to. The boy does show talent, and he was quite happy about this, even if he was not pleased that he was going a little too differently in different paths. You can't put on a pair of shoes and walk down every single path at once. Now then, the man left soon afterwards, and Izuku was reeling at the thought that there was a dragon standing in front of him. And yeah, that was only mildly terrifying. Now, with that being said, we do have about a week later. After the groups departed from each other, they took separate paths. Deku's on his way back to Granola, and when they do to pull up to the castle, he does have a lot going on in his mind. Him going to step out of the carriage and turn, bring up a hand as Pyra does get a step down. Him going to bring his arms up and go to stretch, since he does feel quite stiff because the ride has not been fun. The last 5 weeks, yeah, they've definitely been interesting. Though, it does mean a lot. Oh, crap. Now that he's thinking about it. He never did get that spar with Erodos. Crap. That should be fine. If she's a valuable warrior, a strong warrior, they'll cross paths again. Though hopefully he can actually beat her. She beat Ochako and Kirishima. He won't lose just because she's strong. And that idea does excite Deku. As Oliver, he does come climbing out, popping his back and talking about it. He still can't believe how much time that takes to get there. They really should get one of those self-driving ones. The carriage. I mean, yeah, it's magically enchanted. You mentioned upgrading this thing, but you didn't do much with it. Because every time we are trying to, something pops up or happens. That's fair. People coming to run by, and Izuku does get a turn, seeing a man who does come running up and going to fall to a knee, informing the hero that the king would like to speak with him soon. He would like him to gain an audience. As they know it is under short notice, but please. The man looking up, and his eyes do show off that the situation definitely is not good. And Izuku, he does get a nod, turning and going to leave. However, Pyra does get to grab him by the arm, her going to tell him not to forget his promise. Right, no, I won't. But, right now it's a little bit more important. Fine. Her letting go. And he does get a turn, a bit worried about this. He read the guy. He seems stressed, anxious, scared. And that does mean quite a bit. Him walking into the castle and finding the king. And whenever he does go to fall to a knee, the king does get a look up. Right now, him seeing the young hero. And his eyes, they do go a little wide. The young man has a haircut. And he does have a scar running under his lower lip. It does lead up and into it. However, it must be from a fight. We are thankful that you are here, Izuku. There was much to discuss. The situation is dire. Deku turning his head, bowing to Lady Lillian, and turning back to the king, asking exactly what was so urgent to summon him. He just returned. Izuku, our reports are not good. Our castle is on high alert. What do you mean high alert? There are security concerns. The problem at hand we do not know much of. The Fae have issued a declaration. The Fae? Yes, the Fae. We have been allies with them for a long time. And my father's father, he made many deals with them. We have kept the peace for as long as we could, but I fear that peace may be breaking down. Certain actions have pushed them to consider many things. Like, they believe that their ruler was killed by a human, and under the direct order of a human king. That's insane. Yes, Izuku. Our empire spans many areas of this land. The Fae, we share a border with them. You do? I've only ever met the one. Yes, I know. That is not a border that is easy to explain. It is odd. Their land is called the Feywild. They know many things. Their culture is odd and strange to us, and not many people have been there. We do not know what it is, or how to get there. Very few have been there, and many others are not tempted to return. They say it is great, powerful, beautiful, and, well, it is in another realm. Really, the Feywild is quite strange. Lillian going to stand, stepping forwards and turning to her grandfather, the man nodding his head since she has done the research on the subject. And she is going to continue. The Feywild is a plains of interesting proportion. It is like their homeland, but just different. An alternate world? I believe it is safe to give that assumption, yes. The Fae are quite powerful. However, they are quite disrespectful as well. They play by their own laws. They are older than we give them credit for. They do not like elves. They are seen as cheap imitations of them. copies. For whenever they claim that when the planes broke, they were right in their choice. They chose the lands of more magic, and the elves, they did not follow. They offered a hand, but they did not take it. They do not understand why. The elves are their brethren, but they refuse to see it as such, especially after the breaking. I see. That's incredible. Is it? Izuku, we are on the verge of war with another kingdom. One we are allied with, but do not begin to understand how to fight. Their magic, it's powerful. It's complex and completely foreign to us. Our soldiers could fight, but I do not know whenever it does come down to magic practitioners. That is another story we do not begin to understand. Her turning to her grandfather and going to bring her hand up asking if they may walk. And he does get a nod, going to sit there and still stew in his thoughts. Her waving Deku to follow her, as the two do begin to walk down the hallway to the castle. And she has to explain it more, what they understand of the Feywild. It's a place strange and odd, beautiful and dangerous, and it can drive people mad if they're not ready for it. It is an oddity. And he does understand, nodding along and hearing about this stuff. Powerful creatures dwell there, and the Fae's nature, tricksters, just like Sir Theodore has said. That one Fae there, he assumed that they were an ally. Political allies? Maybe. But from what he doesn't understand, the Fae defy their nature to be allies like this. They don't like the material plane? No. They can step out from that land, but this raises more questions to him. Okay. Going off the idea that they're not the most hospitable people, they're also not the best terms right now with humans. Nor are they possibly on terms with elves. Shit. Okay. He's got to be careful if he's dealing with the Fae. No names, titles. Those are good. Though, that could cause more problems. Okay. You are quite bothered. Deku turning his head, realizing that while he was trying to compile these notes in his head, they do find themselves out in the courtyard. He does stand there, a hand on his belt, as if he's getting ready to draw a sword with it. And he does go to turn and look around, expressing. He's deep in thought. This world is so strange, and he just keeps learning weird things. I do see. If you may company further, where are we going? Her turning, before she has to bend down and bring her hands up. And Deku does see the elven girl go to raise her hands to some flowers. Her going to whisper something in a language he does get to hear, recognizing the chant as Elvish. And when the flowers do begin to bloom brighter and pull with magical power, he does get to watch as many of them do to extend out. Her taking a small knife and cutting some of them, before she does fully stand. Her going to put the knife away and going to walk down a path through the courtyard. And the two, they do make their way around. Him finding where she'd want to head to. And when they do arrive at a grave, she just set them down, bringing her hands up and bowing her head to her mother, as she has a turn to Deku, expressing, the Fae are dangerous creatures. They will try to make deals, promise many things, and if they are not aware of who he is, why he is there, it could mean much. When the discussions do get to them, they will have to try and sort this out. As a hero, he does hold sway. Even they are afraid of the gods, and the wrath they could incur from this. If they do offer him to help fix the situation, could he do so unbiasedly? What do you mean? I mean, prove that a human did not kill their king. We are their allies. We do not need more meaningless bloodshed before the demon's army begins to attack again. That could be at any day now. If we're all at each other's throats, then we will all die. No one prospers. Yes, that is my biggest concern about all this. You have my word. I'll try to bring whoever did this to justice. But I do not know. If it is a human, then that does cause more problems. It does. But show that they were acting alone if you can. We do not know why they would do this. My family is already. Her lowering her head. Then Deku does go see that. Before he does bring up his hand and put it under her shoulder. However, he does go to hold her arm, she does look up, seeing the smile that does play on Deku's face. It's warm, and it does show he will keep his word. And she is quite happy about that. Her going to throw herself at Deku into a hug. And as Deku, he does this recoil backwards and flinch. Her going to comment on how she's happy about that. And she'll take him at his word, pulling away, before mentioning that the scar on his lip, where did it come from? Oh, I'm fine. It's not as bad as my other scar. I messed around with a few dangerous creatures. I see. The wound, if I am right, the way it's healed, I don't know how to place it. I would say something with sharper talons, but it's odd. Deku backing away, as he has to talk about it. Maybe he can tell that story to her one day. At least the better version from what he does know. A lot of people told him what they saw, and he does still have trouble believing it. Haruka won't smile. In a better mood than she was prior. And Izuku, he does get dismissed by the princess, her heading back to talk to her grandfather about the situation. And Deku, he does eventually find Oliver. The two going to sneak off his Pyra, she does head into town to sort a few things out herself. And right now, they do arrive at a place to eat. And later to sit down, Deku does talk about it. Okay. He needs advice. About? So what did the king want to talk to you about? I don't know if I should say. It's really bad. We fought a vampire, dude. Well, you did. I just kind of broke my ribs. I mean, unless you think a Fey army is bad. Oliver going to stare at Deku. His eyes going to go wide before he asks him if he's messing with him. Nope, I wish I was. Something happened. We don't know the full details yet, but when we do, the accusations might come in, as far as we can tell. But I just don't get it. Yeah, that sounds really bad. Though, someone's smacking their hand on their table. And when the two do turn their heads to see Sir Theodore, Oliver, he does immediately feel his ale jump right back up his throat. Him going to spit back into his drink as he does go to slam his cup down. And Deku, he does get a jump up as well. Sir Theodore, good to see you back in town. Though, how did things go with the king? Oh, they went fine. He has me on standby at the moment, though he does want me to investigate. I see. Well now, you have grown quite a bit stronger, Izuku. I give you this as a token of appreciation. Him going to motion down to the table. Before he starts to talk about it, there is a whole list of spells he has yet to learn. Well, he does like those simpler spells, and he does know that one silly spell. He does think there's a lot more he could be doing. This is a spell quite simple, one use only, and what it will provide to him is something unique. Does he get it? I see, but what is it? It's a spell to summon a beast of your own. Channel your mana into it, and then burn the seal. Burn it? Yes, burn the seal. You've seen a magical caster do that before, have you not? I would expect them to be a lot more common in York. No, I haven't. I see. Well, traditionally, certain mages, they will inscribe runes into their body in paint. They will inscribe them to gain power, less casting time, faster responses, making the mana a literal part of your body, making a spell a part of your body, Izuku. Burning the spell burns the paint. It does mean that you would have to reapply, but stronger paint means you can use it more often. And all you really do need to do is think of the spell. Your mana will be stored into those parts. All you have to do is release. It's quite a lot like your wordless spell casting. More efficient, however. Speaking of that, have you improved upon that at all? I have. Your weights, they need to be increased. Him turning to Oliver, and the man, other than feeling like his balls just jumped up into his throat, he does try to keep his composure. Because the guy in front of him could literally punch him into the next nation. Right, this is Sir Theodore. Cat got your tongue. No, sorry, could I get some of those weights too? I mean, I've had some before. I can. Are you versed well in magic? I know a decent amount. Good. Him going to hold up his hands. Going to express. I'll get their weights sorted out soon. Though, what did he last carry? Deku going to pull one of his weights out of his inventory, handing it over to Oliver, who does take it casually. Before Deku does a let go of it, and it does nearly get a smash through the table. Him going to buckle and try to hold up that wristband with one hand, finding he does need to brace his entire body to try and keep himself on his feet, holding with two hands and trying not to squat with his back. And Theodore does take the weight casually and talk about it. Right. Well then, we'll start them off later than this. But the mana drain on his will be quite proficient. Mana drain? Yes. Izuku's doing quite well. However, I feel like his pool of mana does suffer from it. He does cast quite a lot of spells, and he does focus on quite a lot of magics. Him giving Deku the stink eye, well aware as to why. And Izuku does express. He can focus on one, if that's what he does mean. He's very good at ice. I noticed. Okay. I'll focus on ice magic as a majority. But I'm more interested in the spell you put down. Deku going to grab the paper, Finding it's just one of many spells Sir Theodore is handing over to Deku, and he does go to grab the others. Seeing one for a place called a demiplane, and the description of this spell is incredible. That doesn't make sense though. Okay. That spell is odd. So is that spell? Huh. Sir Theodore, I think I already know this one. You do. So why is it here? Him turning, waving his hand and telling Izuku, he'll figure it out. Though, one of those spells is quite interesting. If he does need a disguise, then be aware. Miscasting it can go badly. And he does understand. Deku going to shuffle some of the papers around and sing one. For as I turn and look back at the summoning paper Theodore has given him. One use only. Burning a magic symbol. Burning runes? Okay, that is interesting. So he could paint the seals for fire magic on his wrist and... That is interesting. I'll have to look into that more. You know the orcs do sell body paint, but they usually use that to mark themselves. At least mark their armor and some of themselves sometimes. And this does intrigue him. However, right now as I turn back to Oliver, going to sit back down, trying to ask his friend for any advice about taking Pyra on a date. Well, you are asking the right guy. How do you guys know each other, actually? I don't think that's ever come up. Long story, but let's make it short. I used to date her older sister. You can't be serious. Yeah, I did. She came through here one day. One thing led to another. It was interesting. We met. She was surprised I'm not like typical humans. And eventually we did kind of become friends. She doesn't really head home a lot. I think she is homesick actually, so you could take her back to the Elven Kingdom. Really? Yeah. I mean, their cities are very strange, but I think that she'll like it. Given the fact that you have quite a lot of power, and I want to say we both got some good cash from that last attack. Well, mission, you know? Right. You're right about that. But where would I even... How would I even get to the Elven Kingdom? Isn't it like 2 weeks away? 3 weeks away? It can be quite bad, but I do think that if you do pay the right price, you could get a mage to cast a summoning circle. Or, no, it's not that. Jesus, you got me thinking about that thing now. You could ask them to cast teleportation. It is a powerful spell. And if you do get Rosita to do it, I think it can work out quite well. Though I'd say you would have to cast the magic yourself as well. The court mages might not like it. But pay them off and I'm sure it will work. Are you sure? I mean, the king has a way of getting my attention with a magical crystal, but going all the way there with teleportation? That sounds crazy. Well, you could try to fly there, but I think that would be a long surprise. That's fair. No, you're right. So, if I do ask them to cast that spell, then would it work? I'm sure it would. Although, we'll just leave everyone heavily tired. Okay, fine. I can do that. Though, what else do you think I'll need? Well, you'll need money, of course. Pay off them or do some sort of quest for them, then take Pyro on a date. See what you can do then. There's a lot of places to go in the Elven Kingdom. It's quite the romantic place, and just be careful there. Right. No, you're right. I'll try and keep my wits about myself. Good. Deku going to leave. Oliver going to somewhat smile and try to think about what his friend is doing. He's going to walk right into the Elven Kingdom as the hero. Or, well, more accurately, appear there with teleportation. So that will be something. And we do have where Deku, he does go back to meet with Miss Rosita, one of the court mages who they've been quite busy. And when they do to see Deku, they are quite alarmed. They've seen him before, but seeing the young warrior that does appear in front of her, yeah, what the hell? And where Deku does express his plan, she does go to understand. Quite surprised, yet happy to hear about their relationship. And she does try to comment on this spell. It's quite a powerful spell for him to know. Right now, she can help him, but it is not going to be easy. Depending on how they do this, it can go good or badly. There is a spell that may provide him with what he seeks. It will give him the ability to teleport. However, if they do go for another idea, something that may be in his preference, they can do something simpler. Her trying to tell him he's never been to the Elven Kingdom, so the spell she would like to teach him unfortunately might put them off somewhere differently. However, if they do use a circle to use the spell, it will put them more on target. Really? Yes. King Solomon, he is in good standing with the elves. However, as of late, it may be going badly. I see. But do you think that you can do this? I will be able to. However, I would need some ingredients. Possibly from a witch? They may understand better what I am trying to do. Wait, a witch? I think I know the perfect lady to call. Good. Whenever. Hang on. Her writing a few things down. Before she does go to run over to a book and gonna slam it down. Deku hearing the heavy thud of that tome. However, she has been so much to try to scatter her way through it, she does look at a few things. Deku looking over her shoulder and seeing a story that does describe the teleportation spell, how it was used for something quite mischievous. And whenever she does a turn, she does go to slide it over, telling Deku that those are the proper ingredients. Though as of right now, flipping through her book, going to put her finger down there, telling him this is the spell he'd be looking forward to. Trying to learn. It is still above her level, but she is slowly approaching it. She would love to help him by casting it, but she is afraid that she does not have the proper requirements for it. I understand. But you're saying if you had more magical power, then you could? And if I had certain items, yes. Write those down too. Really? Yes. If I can provide you the items, perhaps it can work. I've gotten quite a lot of money from York. If it is easier or simpler, I can do that. You've helped me before, Miss Rosita, and I would like to repay you for that. Her smiling, writing down some of the items she will need, going to turn and hand the paper over to Deku. Before she does, go to wave him off and tell him that she does hope everything does go well. Pyra is a nice person, though she is rather clingy for an elf. I don't know what that means, but I'll take your word for it. She did get jealous of this one, Oni. Did she? How did that go? Well, you're seeing the results. I kind of do owe her a date. And you're taking her to the Elven Kingdom? My. Big spender. Deku waving her off. Right now, running out the door and looking at these two lists. Since this new journey of his, it's gonna be interesting. And with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.